Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We will go to application 2, which is Coltishall, the little shop, 2023-0087 and 2023-0097. This is, where's my papers? This is conversion from a shop to two residential buildings again, and we have Julie Fox presenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This one is property known as the Little Shop. It has an apartment above at number 26 High Street, Coltishall. The proposal is for full planning permission and listed building consent for the reinstatement of the property to two residential cottages. It was formerly two cottages and it's going to be converted back to those. Property currently comprises of an empty retail unit on the ground floor and a flat on the first floor. The building is Grade 2 listed and within Coltishall Conservation Area. The application is reported to committee as there is potential for loss of employment. I'll just show you through a few slides. As you can see, it's a small property located in a run of other properties. The terrace to the south is all listed. There's a few commercial properties to the north. There's the garage and filling station, a few other commercial properties surrounding the area. There's a Indian restaurant, pharmacy, hairdressers. So it's in a relatively commercial area within the centre of Coltishall. This is the proposed site plan, as you can see, splitting the property between 26 and 26A, each with a small garden at the back. There's the existing first floor, existing ground floor plan, showing on the ground floor the area as the shop unit with services to the back, and the flat on the first floor, the existing front elevation and the existing rear elevation. As you can see from the proposed front elevation, there's very little change. Some minor modifications and a refurbishment of the windows. On the rear elevation, just a single new window provided on the ground floor. Internally, very minor alterations to split the two properties back into two vertically and provide a new staircase, partitioning, very minor alterations to the listed building. This is the current front elevation. As you can see, it still looks like a residential property. The existing iron railings to the front, forming the terrace of the property, existing door, existing windows. You wouldn't actually realise it was ever a shop. This is the rear elevations as it exists at the moment. Quite untidy at the moment, but it is, you can see it's in residential use, the first floor. There's washing on the line, as you can see. And a general street view. The property in question is this one here. You can see it's existing residential there. This is also residential. So is this one. You've got a commercial unit on the end, commercial this side, and then opposite there is the petrol station and the fish and chip shop and things like that. That is the last photograph. As you can see, it's quite residential in appearance. So the key considerations are the principle of the development, the design, impact on the historic environment and listed building, neighbourly amenity and highways. In terms of the principle of the development, the properties are located within the settlement boundary for Coltishall and therefore in a sustainable location for residential development. However, local plan policies require justification for the loss of a community facility and employment sites as set out in the report. The shop had been operating since the late 1980s and since 1987 as a fruit and vegetable shop. It ceased trading in 2021 as it was no longer viable. As required by local plan policies, the premises was marketed for over a year and no commercial interest was shown. The building is in a poor state of repair and requires complete refurbishment to bring it up to usable standards. As set out in the report, the building has no shop window or forecourt, and as a listed building has limited options for modification. Coltishall is well served with alternative facilities, and loss of the small shop or employment space will have very limited overall effect. There are no proposals to alter the appearance of the building, with only a single new ground floor window proposed for the rear elevation. There will be no impacts in relation to design, the character of the area, or for the appearance of the conservation area. The building has already undergone internal alterations to convert it into the shop and apartment. Only minor alterations are proposed to reinstate the building back to its former use as 2 cottages. Will have no significant impacts for the listed building. In relation to residential amenity, no extensions or additional first floor windows are proposed, and as a result, there will be no additional neighbour impacts with regard to loss of light or privacy. The property does not have any dedicated parking. However, the Highway Authority has raised no objection as the property is in a sustainable location. The application has been delayed due to nutrient neutrality. However, the applicant has now secured credits for mitigation, which have been agreed with Natural England. In conclusion, the site is located inside the settlement boundary where the principle of development is considered acceptable. The applicant has sufficiently demonstrated that there is no viable prospect of reuse of the property as a shop or other commercial employment use. Work to reinstate the property to 2 cottages will have no significant impacts for neighbours, highway safety, the listed building, or for the character and appearance of the conservation area. The proposal therefore meets the aims of the local plan policies and is recommended for full planning approval and listed building consent.
Thank you, Julie. I think this is pretty straightforward. It's a vacant shop to be converted into residential dwellings, which will help address local housing needs. And I think it's quite nice to see the reinstatement of the 2 cottages which once existed, and to restore the historical layout and character to the building. Do you have any comments for Julie, or can we go straight for vote?
Yeah, I agree with what Julia said, actually. I've been the ward member since 2017, and this has never appeared to look like a shop, actually. The only indication you got was the front door was open and that there would be a little sort of trough of vegetables outside, and that was it. So, you know, loosely call it a shop, but I think actually people just didn't know it was there, because there was no signage on the front or anything else, and it's always appeared to be a dwelling house or 2 dwelling houses. So yes, I've got no problems with this at all. Thank you.
Are you all happy to go straight to vote? Yeah, all those in favour?
Can I just confirm we're voting on both those applications together?
Yes, sorry, both the applications together. Yes, all those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. Unanimous. Go to last application, South Walsham, 2024 3393. Land adjacent to U House, Newport Road. This is the converting an existing barn and creating an extension to that and a cart lodge. And I think Julie's presenting on that one as well.
Okay, so this one is for a barn conversion adjacent to U House, Newport Road, South Walsham. Conversion and extension of an agricultural barn to form a dwelling and the erection of a cart lodge and change of use of agricultural land to garden. The application is reported to committee as the proposal is contrary to policy and is recommended for approval. So the site is located to the south of South Walsham. It's outside the settlement boundary, but is within a group with other residential properties, including former barn conversions. As you can see there, it is a little group of residential properties, but it is not connected very well to any other village. This is the proposed floor plan, or block plan, should I say, site plan, which shows the position of the barn which is the existing barn plus an extension on the back. It also includes the addition of a cart lodge to the front, the existing access from Newport Road, which also serves this property here, which is a barn conversion, and will provide access and parking area for the existing barn proposed conversion. The site is already set out in this configuration, enclosed by existing hedges around all boundaries, and this is the part of the land that is proposed for conversion or change of use to residential garden. So essentially the plot is staying very similar to how it is at the current time. So you can see the existing and proposed barns there. The top ones show the existing elevations. These ones are the proposed. You can see a slight increase in the length following the ridge line of the existing barn, recladding in more appropriate materials, and addition of windows in the front and rear elevations, some on the side elevations, and this is the proposed open fronted cart lodge and storage. The floor plans show the main area of living accommodation on the ground floor with bedrooms, further bedrooms on the first floor, a void area in this area and an enclosed balcony on the back overlooking the fields. So in terms of the street scene, this is from Google Street Scene, and you can see the building at the moment, which is tucked into that area there. Essentially the new building will look the same proportions, same scale. It's just going to have a little bit of an extension on the back, and it'll be reclad in timber cladding. And this is an elevation from front, so you can see how well it is tucked into the site. The access is existing with existing drop curb and driveway and existing boundary planting, trees surrounding the site, which will all be retained. This is the view coming from the south towards the site. You can see the access is just here. This is an existing barn conversion carried out some time ago, and you can see just in the distance here the neighbouring property, Yew Tree House. So this is the current barn, as you can see, a profile sheet barn, fairly standard in scale and form. It won't change at all in terms of its scale and proportions, and again you can see the extent of the site, which is enclosed by existing boundary hedges all the way around. This won't change. And again, this is looking from the front of the proposed barn, looking back towards the existing properties in that area. This is the one to the north, and this is the property to the south, which has been a replacement dwelling. There used to be one a bit closer to the site. This has more recently been replaced. So going to the considerations, the issues for consideration in respect of this application are again the principle of development, the impacts upon the character and appearance of the area, neighbour amenity, highways and parking. In terms of the principle, the building already has consent for conversion of a dwelling under Class Q prior approval, which was granted last year and could be implemented. Therefore, the principle of residential development has already been established for the site. A proposal for a self-build conversion with proposed extension, addition of a cart lodge and extended curtilage has subsequently been submitted using the Class Q as a fallback position. As set out in the report, in order to meet the fallback test, the development must be comparable with the Class Q approved scheme. In this case, although the building is to be extended, the overall appearance and scale of the dwelling will be very similar to the approved scheme, and the position of the building remains unchanged. The garden area will not extend into open countryside, being wholly contained within existing hedges and trees. Because of this, in relation to the impact upon the character and appearance of the site, in the context with nearby properties and the wider countryside will be largely unaffected. Although there is an additional building providing garaging and an extension, which is not strictly in accordance with the fallback position, these additions have been sympathetically designed and would be acceptable should future applications be submitted for these additions. With regard to highway safety and parking, the site makes use of an existing access and there is sufficient on-site parking and turning space to meet highway requirements. The Highway Authority has not objected. In considering neighbours, the building is located to the south-east of the nearest neighbour. First floor windows are proposed in the elevation facing the road and therefore in the direction of the neighbours. However, due to the position of the building and the existing tree screen, any overlooking will be obscured. First floor windows in the rear elevation will overlook open fields. So to conclude, the principle of use of the building as a dwelling has already been established with the issue of the Class Q prior approval. The fallback position is considered acceptable as the development is comparable with the Class Q proposal in terms of its design. The addition of the cart lodge and extension and increased curtilage to form the garden are considered to have negligible impacts outside the site and no significant impacts for the appearance of the wider countryside. The design and size of the windows in combination with existing boundary screening will prevent any significant loss of privacy for neighbours. The proposal provides adequate access, parking and manoeuvring space to meet highway safety and parking standards. The recommendation, therefore, is to approve the application subject to the conditions set out in the agenda. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Anybody got any questions for Julie? Joe?
Thank you, Chair. The cart lodge, is there accommodation in the roof space above the cart lodge, or is that going to be a single story, please, Julie?
When it initially came in, there was, but it's been reduced down to a single story only, so it's just providing a garaging facility. Yeah.
Anybody else? No? I think, although it is contrary to policy, I think in some respects the benefits outweigh the downsides on this. So I'm quite willing to propose that we accept this application. All those in favour, please?
Sorry, Chair, we have the applicant here to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you wish to speak? I do apologise. Are you happy with the vote? Yeah. Okay, we'll go for that. Okay. Sorry? We're going for the vote, yeah. All those in favour, please. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you for coming anyway and having to sit through such a long meeting. Okay, we'll go to... where are they? Go to planning appeals. I'm going to hand over to Tracy.
These ones, to be honest, just to note, just in terms of general kind of updates on appeals, we are experiencing some significant delays with receiving appeal decisions from the planning inspectorate. We have put a chase in, so we are mindful if you've got any in your wards that we are awaiting. We are conscious that some of those have been quite long-standing and we're pushing as hard as we can on that, but that's probably just a general update at the moment. It's taking quite a while to get some of the appeal decisions to come through.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the meeting at 11:50. Sorry. We've got some training. Hang on, don't go yet.